anybody can see if we stand here.
Well, you won't see me, I'm too short.
So I was hello, welcome to Couch and Picture Framer. Thank you for coming. Just a few things before we get started. If you aren't on our newsletter and you want to know more about events like this, or get some nice discounts to some of the paid events like wine tasting, please talk to Lydia or me and we'll sign you up. We have a few pieces for sale by Julian Opie. There's 2 over there and there's a load in the toilet when you want to go to the toilet. 25% of the sale will go to charity, so they're well worth having a look at. And just to keep updated, we're setting up an etching studio out the back. It will be a club which is open access to anybody. The update, I suppose, is the equipment we're expecting in November, and we're looking to start doing courses and things in the new year. So obviously this is an exhibition of Jo Lillywhite's work. She's a local artist, does pastels and paintings. And I suppose over to you, Jo, to tell us a bit more about your practice, your inspiration.
Okay, thank you very much, Alex. I would like to just start though by saying a huge thank you to Alex and Lydia and the team here. Thank you for hosting me and my work, and thank you so much to all of you for coming tonight. I'm really touched to see so many faces, new and old, and I hope you enjoy what I'm about to say. I'm not going to prattle on for too long because I'd like to throw up the floor to questions. But I thought I'd start by telling you a little bit about myself, and then I'll talk about the inspiration, and we'll take it from there. So, I am Jo Lillywhite. I've been painting now, well, actually all my life. A lot of people say to me, have you always drawn and painted? And the short answer is yes. I've been drawing right from the word go, right from the moment that I could hold a pencil. In fact, my mum used to let out a huge groan when I'd say, Mum, I'm going to do some drawing, and I'd drag everything out the understairs cupboard, set up a table and a chair, and I'd sit in there for hours drawing and copying and making my own stationery, that sort of thing. But that might have been also to do with the fact that I was an only child, and it was very wet up north where I grew up. So yeah, grim up north. So indoor activities was a good option. So, in fact, I've only been selling artwork since about 2017. So I got as far as GCSE with qualifications, and after that I went and did a degree, not in anything art related though. I studied business and then had a career in banking and IT, and I came back to it later in life after I'd had my children, and I was deciding, fancied a change. Let's try something new. Ditch the corporate aggro, shall we say? But we don't need to go into that. And here I am. And it all started really. I wanted a part-time job. I'd taken up art again as a hobby, and I was not really finding a part-time job. And just at that time, a couple of people said to me, Jo, I really like what you're doing. Could you make a picture for me? So I did, a couple of commissions, and then it's gone on from there. But at the same time, I was doing lots of local workshops at local venues with other local artists, some of whom we have here tonight. And I tried a bit of everything: portraits, animals, landscapes, charcoal, pastel, acrylic. I think when you're setting out, and I've spoken to some of you about learning how to paint, I think you've just got to try different things, and eventually you'll find what sits right with you, what inspires you, and you'll know how to take it forward from there. So let's talk now about my inspiration. So I live just up the road from here in a place called Woodcote. Don't know if any of you are familiar with that. So basically, if I leave my house, within 5 minutes, I'm in the woods. So as you can see, I paint a lot of woodlands. When you live amongst the woods, you're inspired by woods. That's why when you go to Cornwall, there's lots of sea pictures and pictures of mackerel. It's just a thing. You can't help but be inspired by where you live. So I spend a lot of time walking. I spend a lot of time looking. And the more you look, the more you see things you want to paint. And the more you paint, the more you look for things. So it's absolutely terrible going on a walk with me, because I'm always half a mile behind you, taking pictures, looking at the sky, looking at the floor, looking at everything else. So it's never a quick outing. And then what I will do is take those images and I'll work from them in the studio at home. But they're always from places that I've seen and things that have inspired me. So what I'd like to do is hand out these photos. They're photos that I've taken, and they're the reference photos. If you just pass them round and have a look, they're the reference photos of things that I've done. So you might start to get an idea of what it is that I'm seeing and then how I translate it. So do wander around if you like and have a look and see if you can spot the photos.
I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Over there.
Just take a minute to look at those.
Do you know where that one is?
Yeah.
It's like it's up in Lungy Creek.
Told them you know about it.
Yes, it's over there. It's a shame. You know, it's right behind you.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah. That is.
Yes, yeah.
Yes. So this is a very good point. This gentleman's just said about the destination in the paintings. And really, you'll see that in all of them, I'm about that depth. And I want you to feel like when you look at the painting, you're going into it and you're going somewhere. Or it might remind you of a favourite place that you've been. Or it might remind you of something from your childhood. And with the colours that I use and the brightness, I want you to feel uplifted when you see the paintings. So I'm all about colour, all about bringing the outside in, really. But what I've tried to do as well is simplify it all down. As you'll know, if you're going in the woods, you know, you're going off the beaten track a bit, there's brambles everywhere, there's fallen trees, you know, you're clambering over things. So you don't need to put all that in your paintings. Get rid of that and remember when you're painting what it is, what you're trying to say. You know, what do I want you to pick up from the painting? So I strip it all down, strip it down to the depth, the lines, the beech trees around here. I don't know if you ever walk in the beech trees. They're so majestic, they're so tall. Often the trees they don't even grow their leaves, particularly in the forest, right up until the top canopy. So you've got all these wonderful lines. And I love that. That's why you see them all the time in these. And I love the bent trees that you then get over those as well, and the leaves. But I do try to keep it simple, really, believe it or not. So for instance, this one's quite a good example here. If we look at Sunlit Walk, who's got the photo of... I don't know if you've seen this one. This one's got that little, it's got this shaft of light that's just hit the trees. And it was just that little bit that grabbed me on this walk. It was late in the afternoon, the sun was coming down, and these trees were just lit up. Now obviously in the photo it doesn't really do it justice, but you know, I remember that because I saw it and thought, right, I'm going to paint that. And it's brilliant when you see something like that, because you think, right, tomorrow I know what I'm going to do in the studio. You see it, you paint it. And then this bit, I love this angular tree, which is the bit on the left, which just helps to kind of frame that walkway and give that
As you
depth
say, you've
and that
taken all the
feeling.
clutter out.
Yeah,
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah,
yeah,
minimised it.
yeah. And that's a very ancient walkway. So it's near where I live in Woodcote, a little village called Craig's Pond, and you go down through the chalk beds. It's a very ancient, probably a drover's way or something like that. So you know, you feel a bit of connection to our ancestors a little bit.
How long does that take?
To paint. Well, when you get this flash of inspiration, in theory, they can fly out quite quickly.
Yeah.
And you can get down the initial painting quite quickly in a matter of a few hours. But then you can spend a week refining and, you know, sitting up on the mantelpiece or I'm trying to watch telly and I look at the paint and thinking, oh, that bit doesn't, oh, that bit's leaping out. So I can refine them for several weeks, really. Yeah. And some of them, in all honesty, you wrestle with a bit more. And whether you ever finish it, maybe you don't, maybe you ditch it and move on. It's just how the creative process goes. Yeah. Okay. So a few people have also asked me how I go about the painting. You'll see there's perhaps a couple of different styles here. But what I tend to do is layer up a lot of layers of translucent paint. So this one at the end, which you can see, the woodland rays with the pinks. I'll get down an initial layer, I'll probably put down one colour over the whole canvas, and that will be the base, and it'll harmonise the whole picture. And then I'll start working up some of the trees, put some of the greens on, and then I'll get water and a big brush, and I'll basically rub it out with the water. And the drips will come down and leave these lovely marks, lovely drips. I'll let that dry, and then I'll add over more paint in clear layers, perhaps with a medium to make it translucent. And I'll keep building it. I'll put the paint on, I'll take the paint off. I'll put more paint on, take it off. So it's a very, literally a fluid process. It's quite organic, it can be quite messy, but then I can refine it as much or as little as I want to. So for me that's a really fun way of working, and I like to do that. And it's the same with these as well. This is how I get all these interesting marks and patterns. Any questions on process? Yes.
Your colour combinations are sublime. So do you plan the colours? Do you think, okay, I'm going to have the blues and the oranges, or do they evolve?
Good question. You'll see with blues and oranges and turquoise and oranges, it is a colour I like to return to. And quite often my colour combinations are led by something called the colour wheel. Some of you might be familiar. It's the theory that certain colours sing when they're put together. So it's a well-known tool that artists will use. And I quite often stick to that. So for instance, purples and yellows are nice and complementary. I'll base a painting around that. All blues and oranges. But then there is some deviation around that.
But would you adapt what you've seen to be colours you want?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Pretty much always. So for instance with this one, quite often I'm inspired by the season. So this one is harvest season. It's at the end of the summer where the crops have been pulled up. You see the lines of the tractors. And it evokes that autumnal feeling.
I'm intrigued by the pinks and the purples in this one. What drove you to make them those colours? Was there something in the picture or?
I think I just wanted a change from orange.
It's a nice change.
Yeah, yeah.
Goes nicely with the teal.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it's just nice to mix things up, try different combinations.
So you're interpreting what you see in a way that you find attractive, that the colours
Yeah.
you want.
Yeah,
Mm.
yeah, it might be dependent on seasons. Yeah, you know, as an artist, you want to try different things, see if they work. Keeps it interesting for us as much as you, the viewer. Yes.
I have a question about
Yeah.
the lines. I see that you draw this particular lines on the ground. Is it to evoke some sort of movement, both in that and that painting, or is it just a stylistic sort of choice?
I think it all started with this feeling of going through and into the woods, particularly in that one. You know, this feeling of depth, and you do get that from having a strong sense of perspective.
Yeah.
So it's all about the perspective and the vanishing point and where the eye is led. So it's really to try and draw the eye and draw you through.
When I look at those in particular, it just evokes me like fast movement, something, yeah.
And particularly with the woodlands, I've got another one over there. I'm very much into light and the shadows that the light will make in the forest, and the feeling that you can go towards it. You know, honestly, a few years ago, I suffered some loss in my life, and at the time I started to paint woodlands with light. And I didn't realise it at the time, but I think subconsciously I was trying to get an emotion that was in me, and it came out onto the canvas. And I think that, you know, when we walk in the woods, it can be very comforting. You know, it's proven, isn't it, that we all feel better when we're in the woods. And you know what, I think it's all to do with this connection.
Yeah.
You know, because it's all right me standing here and saying, well, I saw this thing and I painted it, and here we are, I've painted it, isn't that marvellous? But you know, ultimately it's down to the viewers, isn't it? And you guys and everybody else, because I want you to enjoy the paintings, see something in the paintings, and have a connection to it. Because I really think that's what it's all about. And I didn't realise that was even a thing when I started painting. And it's only since doing it for quite a while now that I realise the effect that it does have on people. You know, it's not just a picture on a wall. It really is more than that. I know it sounds a little bit dramatic, doesn't it? A bit over the top. But you know, it really is a thing. And when my artwork does that to somebody, there isn't a better feeling than that. So I hope you enjoy the work, and please do ask me any questions. I'm here all evening.